it's April Garwood from Banana Moon Studio, and in this video I'm going to be showing you a little bit of helpful information about how to make my new crochet pattern Hinton Hat. This is a free pattern you can find on my website. The link for that is going to be in the description for this video, or you can always find my latest at bananamoonstudio.com. So we are working with knit picks, or we crochet chroma worsted. That's what this is, and a size I crochet hook. And the first thing you're going to be doing in this pattern is chaining a certain number, depending on whether you're making this for a baby, a child, or an adult, small or large. And I am going to be working with a pretty small number of chains here. I'm going to be making mine smaller, so this demo goes a bit faster. And but you'll chain a number based on which size you're making here. And then in row 1 it says skip first chain, single crochet in each remaining chain, and then turn. And so I have finished that first row, and I will turn my work, and I'm ready now for row 2. Row 2 begins with chain 1, then single crochet BLO. That SCBLO means single crochet in the back loop only until 2 stitches remain. So I will do that now. I chain 1, and then to single crochet in the back loop, the loop of my first stitch that I can see here is the front loop. I have to kind of turn it to find the back loop, and that's here. So I will single crochet in that back loop only for each stitch until I have 2 left that I have not worked. At this point, I have 2 stitches left. You can see them here and here, which is what it said here, that I was going to stitch across until 2 stitches remain, and then I am going to turn. So I'll turn my work, leaving those 2 stitches undone, and then row 3 says chain 1, single crochet in the back loop only in each stitch, and turn. So there is my chain 1. I have to turn to look for that back loop, and I will stitch all the way across. That's row 3 finished. Then rows 4 through 9 say alternate repeating rows 2 and 3. And I just want to point out, if you aren't familiar with patterns that are written for multiple sizes, if you look up here where it says available sizes, it says baby, and then in brackets it has child, comma, adult small, comma, adult large. And so when you look down in here, the numbers go in that pattern. The first number is going to be for the baby size, and then in the brackets, the first number here corresponds with the child size, which is first in the brackets, and then the adult small, and then the adult large. So they go in the same order as the sizes are listed up here in available sizes. Sorry, up here in available sizes. So if you're making the baby size, you will be using the first number given each time. This is just your stitch count. This tells you how many stitches you'll have at the end of each row. If you're making the child size, you'll go by this number, adult small and adult large. So anyhow, that was inside. Rows 4 through 9 alternate repeating rows 2 and 3. So I go back to row 2 here and I'll chain 1, single crochet in the back loop only until 2 stitches remain. So there's my chain 1, and I'll single crochet across until I have only until I have 2 stitches left in this row that I have not worked. And here now I have these 2 stitches I have not worked. I still have these 2 down here that I did not work. So I'm kind of making some little steps here, as you can see. And then, so I repeated row 2, now I repeat row 3 where I chain 1 and single crochet in the back loop in each stitch. All right, now I finished that. So what I'm making here, where I have the kind of steps over here, this part is going to be the crown of my hat, and the straight edge is going to be the bottom edge of my hat, and you'll kind of see how that works as we go. All right, so now I'm going to just do that again and again. I just did rows 4 and 5. And then I'll repeat 2 and 3 again, and that will be 6 and 7, and I'll repeat 2 and 3 again, and that will be 8 and 9. So I am going to pause the video for a bit and work to that point. And again, just as you repeat row 2 each time, you'll be leaving 2 stitches unworked here. And then when you repeat row 3, you work all the way across. So we'll pick this back up when I am at that point in the video. Now I have finished row 9 of the pattern, and just a tip here in counting rows in the stitch pattern. The first one is this first ridge you see at the bottom, and then there's one in between the ridges. So the next ridge you see here is the 3rd row. So you could count by odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So I have 9 rows complete, and you can see how I have this kind of stair-step configuration over here and a flat edge over here, and this will be the bottom edge of the hat. All right, so at this point I'm ready for row 10 of my pattern, and it says chain 1, single crochet in the back loop only in each stitch of last row. So we're going to go to that point. So I'll do my chain 1, kind of turn to find that back loop, and stitch across, working in back loops only. All right, I've gone all the way across, and then row 10 says single crochet in the back loop only in 2 skip stitches of rows 7, 5, 3, and 1. So what that's going to look like is coming down to this next stair step and crocheting in the back loop of the 2 stitches that were skipped here. And then coming right down to this next stair step and crocheting in the back loops of those 2 stitches. And now this one. this one. So now this row that I have just completed has the same number of stitches that my first row did, because I've gone back and now stitched in all of those skipped stitches. So then that was row 10. Row 11 says chain 1, single crochet in the back loop only in each stitch and turn. So that is easy enough. I'm just going to stitch in each stitch all the way across this row. All right, that was row 11, and then it tells me repeat rows 2 through 11 for pattern, ending last repeat with a row 9. And then it tells me to work a certain number of rows in pattern. So as you go forward, you will continue repeating all the way from row 2 to row 11. And you'll do that over and over until you have completed this total number of rows, starting with row 1. So I am going to do a few more repeats of this with the camera off, and then I'm going to come back when I get to that point and show you how to seam your hat. Now we're ready to seam the hat. I've worked 3 repeats of the length of the hat and the crown shaping, and you know, I explained in here that as you're working these repeats, you want to end the last repeat with a row 9. Okay, so I'm at that point now, and this is where I'm now ready to work back and fill in these stair steps. And you can see how the work has gone here, and then here, and then we go back here like this. So anyhow, so you can see this, the stair steps that I made were here. So at this point the pattern says right here, turn work, bring beginning edge up and even with working edge. Okay, so I already have my work turned. I'm going to bring my beginning edge up behind my working edge, like so. And then it says chain 1, working through back loop only of working edge and both loops of beginning edge. I should specify here, when I worked my first row, I worked into the back ridges of my chains instead of working under the 2 loops as usual. So my beginning edge looks like this, and that's why I have 2 loops here. If you worked your first row into both loops of the top of the chain as usual, then you're only going to have 1 loop here, not 2. But if you worked in the back ridge like I did, you'll have 2 loops on this edge to work through. Okay, so working through back loop only of working edge and both loops of beginning edge, slip stitch through both thicknesses to seam. When you get to the skipped stitches from short rows along working edge, continue seaming by working through each of the skipped stitches in turn, along with the next stitch along the beginning edge. Do not fasten off. All right, that's a lot of words. Let's see what that looks like. I'm going to chain 1, go through the back loop of my first stitch, and come to this edge and go under both loops of this first chain and slip stitch. And then back loop of this edge and both loops of the beginning edge. getting an extra bit in there. Okay. It's being a little hard to work through. Unfortunately, this hook, which I really love, is a little bit snaggy, so it's kind of fighting me. Now, when you come to these little stair steps that we were making, you're still going to just do the same thing. You're going to go in the back loop of this first one and through both loops of the next stitch on this edge and slip stitch. Back loop here, both loops here, and slip stitch. And then you'll go down to the next stair step and do the first back loop and both loops here. And back loop and both loops. And then down to the next stair step. And last stair step, back loop, and both loops. And back loop here, and both loops here. And that finishes your seam. Now mine is really tiny because I was just making it very small for this demo. At this point, what you really want to do, what you're looking at here is the wrong side where this seam is. And you want to be able to stitch a little around the opening at the top to close it up. When I made my large hat, I just turned it like this, and then to get my yarn on the right side of the hat, I just pulled my skein through the hat. But I can't do that here because my opening's so tiny. So I'm just going to pull out a length of yarn here, and you could do this too. The problem is just making sure that you have enough. My little demo hat here is so tiny, I'm sure I've got plenty. Let's see. There is my loop, so I don't want to lose that. And there is my yarn. Okay, and so then at that point you will, as it says here, single crochet 2 stitches together around the opening. I can't really do that here just because mine is so tiny, but I can probably show you 1 single crochet 2 together in case you're not familiar with that. But chain 1 first, and then you will just, it's not precise where you're going to stick it here, just make sure it's under at least 2 loops of yarn and pull up a loop, and again under at least 2 loops of yarn and pull up a loop, and then yarn through and pull through all of that. And you're going to do those stitches just evenly around the opening, and then you'll fasten off, which, you know, you're just going to leave your tail here rather long, just because you're going to use it to close the opening. You fasten off by pulling your end all the way through, and then once you've done that, you'll use a yarn needle, which I don't have one handy, but you'll use a yarn needle and use the yarn needle to go back and forth through the tops of the stitches, and then you'll pull that closed and pull your end to the inside and weave it in. So that demonstrates for you the stitch pattern and the seaming of my Hinton hat. As always, find my latest at bananamoonstudio.com, and I hope you all have a lovely day.